Gilberto Ramirez should be the unified WBA and WBO champion. At Cruiserweight, before we get into the recap of the fight, this is the end of the card Latino night in Saudi Arabia. Right now, it is 6:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have been sitting here watching this fight since noon. I just don't think that a boxing event should be 6 hours long, 6+ hours long. But anyway, good fight. I don't know what people expected. Let me tell you what I wanted to see from Gilberto Ramirez. Punch resistance and his endurance at Cruiserweight. After all, he's moving up from 168 pounds. Now remember, Zurdo Ramirez was a big 168 pounder. The type of 168 pounder at 6'3" would come into the ring 20 pounds heavier, just straight bulldozing his opponents. Well, now he's competing at Cruiserweight and even talking about going to heavyweight. But looks like he's going to be getting IBF champion Jai Opetaia next to unify all three belts. And the only belt that would be left is Noel McCallion's WBC title. Don King, seemingly, from what I'm understanding, has entered into a partnership with the Saudis' Riad season, and do not be surprised if Noel McCallion, who's mandatory Ron Rosecki, they fight on possibly Zurdo versus Jai Opetaia. I thought Opetaia was going to be there, but looks like he's not. Maybe he is. Maybe you'll see him, because I didn't know Chris Eubank Jr. was there until about an hour ago. And as I said, this card's been on for 6+ hours. But there's been funky cards on this. Well, I'm not going to say funky, close cards on this fight. I mean, close cards on this card. And do not be surprised if Chris Billam-Smith, just boxing being boxing, gets one of those wins. So as you can see here, looking at the 200-pound division, Noel McCallion, WBC, Badu Jack. We don't know what's going on with him, champion in recess. Gilberto Ramirez, WBA, IBF, Jai Opetaia, Chris Billam-Smith. And the division is not really that deep. And a lot of these guys have been around for a long time. For example, Junior Dorticos, Farad Arslan, Joe Smith Jr., the common man, still kicking around. Blake Capriello, my goodness. Michael Cieslak, Christoph Woldazak. I know I'm butchering these guys' names, but what I'm saying is I've covered, it's crazy how much of a boxing degenerate that I am, that I covered a lot of these fights. You can go on this channel somewhere and see that I covered Robin Safar fighting somebody. I think it was Kovalev. You can go on my channel and see where I covered Makabu fighting over in the Congo in this weird. Oh, listen to the cards.
To 112. Mark Lysom scores at 116 to 113. And regardless of the score, ladies and gentlemen, both of these fighters fought their hearts out.
My man Malik Scott.
Let's give them a round of applause here in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The winner. And now
let me rewind back, because I didn't hear the cards, and it's the end of the card.
116 to 1.
So I can rewind back. I don't like rewinding back
Steve Weisfeld
during my videos.
and Dean Duarte both have it 116 to 112.
Okay, 116, 112.
116 to 113. And regardless of the score, ladies and gentlemen, both of these fighters fought their hearts out.
Look at the body language.
Let's give them a round of applause here in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The winner, and now the unified WBA, WBO
Come on, Michael Buffer, spit it out.
from Mexico, Gilberto Zurdo.
Let's see what he has to say. Wait for the post-fight interview. And my question to you guys is, does he beat Jai Opetaia? I'm still saying Jai Opetaia is the #1 in the division. However, what's going to happen when this fight goes past, if it goes past 8 rounds? You know, we've seen Opetaia has had issues somewhat later in fights. And let's not forget that he's got his face broken by Miras Briedis twice. By the way, Briedis has retired. Let's go see what the fans have to say before we listen to the interviews here. Here we go. Let's see. Nothing controversial. By the way, that environment, atmosphere wasn't any. Felt like I was watching a COVID card.
So number one in the division, but what a fight.
I get it. You know, the Saudis are trying to trying to become like Dubai and Vegas, like a travel destination where they have like super like big events. They're pretty much buying up boxing. You can't get a fight in the heavyweight division without going through them. And the cruiserweights as well is looking like. They have something called Initiative 2030. So it's a long-term plan. Listen in.
You are now the unified cruiserweight champion. How'd you feel about that performance?
Oh, I feel great. Looked small guy what I did. And I mean, I'm a true champion and everyone saw. And thank you everyone. Shukran Habibi. Thank you.
That was the biggest opponent that you've faced up until this point in your career. Early on, could you feel any of the difference in power?
I mean, I'm prepared for those guys, and me and my team, we've been prepared. We know that he was a tough fighter. He was a strong guy, and obviously he was a champion. It's an honor for me to fight him and get the belt. I mean, it's just this part of the sport, and I just have grateful to be here with everyone. And thank you to Turkey Sheikh for everything, for make this happen. And thank you, Riad Season. Thank you, Golden Boy, too. My team, everyone. Thank you.
You were a naturally smaller fighter coming up from 168 years ago. You had the better footwork, it seemed like, in the ring tonight. How useful was that to you?
It was great footwork for me. I tried to use my distance how much I could, but he's tough. He come forward all the time, and I mean, he's strong too. But I just have a respect for him because he's a great champion.
You know, you were seemingly up on the scorecard, seemed like late in the fight, but you in your corner kept saying, let's go for the knockout, let's go for the knockout. Why was trying to get a stoppage so important to you?
Because everyone saw that I'm super middleweight, they say, but I'm cruiserweight. I'm a unified champion. And I mean, it means for me a lot to try to stop him, but I couldn't because he's really tough.
You were able to walk him into some pretty good shots during this fight. How were you able to do it?
Because, like I said, we did the hard training. The hard job was done, and I mean, that time to enjoy the night. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, my coach, Julian Chua, Chris Wong, everyone to be here, Malik, everyone. My dad, he's here too, and I mean, my family too. Mazatlan, this is for Mazatlan, Sinaloa, Mexico. I told everyone I will represent Latino night really well. Thank you for this big opportunity.
2 belts around your shoulders now. A guy named Jai Opetaia is considered the #1 guy in the cruiserweight division. He has a 3rd title. Is that the fight you want next?
Yeah, of course. I want to unify all the champions with all the champions, and that's the main goal for me. And I think for all the champions too.
Even at 33 years old, the guys sitting ringside feel like you're still getting better. Do you believe that?
Who?
Everybody's sitting ringside. Those 2 ex-boxers, the 2 retired guys sitting ringside.
I mean, I saw Barrera right there yelling. I saw Oscar, and everyone was yelling to me. And I mean, it's great they be cheering for me. And I mean, it's great. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gilberto.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, arriba México, cabrones. A huevo. A huevo. I saw Bernard Hopkins too, like yelling me, telling me, told me like do this, and I couldn't hear, I couldn't hear him, yeah. Let's go, Mexico, vámonos!
Appreciate it, Gilberto. We'll turn to Chris.
Gilberto Ramirez, the former Sicario with the heart of gold.
Incredible effort out there tonight, just didn't have enough to get it done. What went wrong for you during this fight?
I guess there's a bit of irony. My initials are obviously CBS, and I say consistency builds success, and I think the consistency of Zurdo tonight was what won it for him. So all respect to him. Thank you to Riad, His Excellency, for having me. It's been a real honor to fight on Latino night. And, you know, Zurdo came out with the win, and I have a huge amount of respect for him, always have done.
He's got some pretty good footwork. How difficult was he to kind of pin down?
Yeah, he's really good because he's got consistent shots for his threes, fours, fives, and then moves. And I think that was where I was lacking tonight with tracking him or letting him get his shots off.
So a pretty nasty cut there above your left eye. How many problems was that giving you tonight?
A little bit. It's part of the sport. At times it was going blurry and closing a bit, and then in between rounds, Cutsman was doing a great job. So there's a few rounds there where I couldn't really see out that eye, but no excuses. It was his work that got it done.
You never gave up in this fight. You'll never give up in your career. Where do you go from here?
A rest. Enjoy Christmas. But yeah, we'll have to go back and assess and keep improving.
Appreciate it, Chris. Great effort tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, Darren, he certainly did his country proud, did Chris Billam-Smith, unfortunately in a losing effort. But going back to what Zurdo Ramirez.
So the Opetaia fight would make sense for Australia, but because the Saudis are running the show, do not be surprised if this fight takes place in Saudi Arabia. And I won't be surprised, as I said earlier, if we see WBC champion Noel McCallion versus Ryan Rozecki, both Don King fighters, on the card. By the way, if anybody would know how Don King's doing, he sent out the video press release about a few days ago. And let me just show you a brief clip here. This was a video of his thoughts on Trump winning the election. But just so you can see the state, that the bloke's in.
Inspired and motivated by my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
This was just a couple of weeks ago.
To announce
a week ago, excuse me.
2 days earlier of what the results would be on the forthcoming November the 5th election, presidential election. I am really very, very happy that my fellow Americans big winners in this issue.
So yeah, that's what's going on with the high kick. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. By the way, here's the punch stats. You can pause it if you want to see it.